The bullets and the punches and the riots have been flowing in only one direction for too long.
I've been trying to tell you guys this whole time how corrupt all of these things were, and here we are.
It is not our responsibility to fix something they spent years intentionally trying to destroy. Unity can only happen in a country when you have a people who agree on what the outcome should be. Well, what's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Man, did you see that? Like right at the turn of 9:30, the show started. That was perfect. Perfect. We've got Nom over here who's got this thing running like a well-oiled machine. All I have to do literally is just push a stinking button now. Like, this is awesome. 4 months in, we've got integrations everywhere. This thing is humming. I'm excited about tonight's show. If we can contain NomDePlume, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but he's a little bit fired up today and has been a little bit salty, but we're going to have to kind of put a lid on the saltiness for a little while. And we will eventually get to that because we've got some really important topics to talk about. On Monday, we laid out what I think is a crystal clear case for why the rioters in Minnesota should be sitting in jail right now. The ones who decided to break into that Christian church to violate multiple federal regulations and state laws, they should be arrested. And yet here we are, almost Thursday, and nothing's happened. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. But before we do that, we have another special guest with us today. We're going to introduce you to another candidate. There's a candidate in the green room right now who's running for the Senate seat that has been vacated by Joni Ernst. And we're going to introduce you to Jim Carlin here in just a few minutes. Nom, SK, how's your Wednesday going?
It's going.
It's going.
I've had a sick household, so I've been taking care of sick people.
Yeah, that's no good.
No.
What's that? What was it? Type A flu? Is that
Type
what it was?
A.
Yeah, that's a nasty one.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting sick from that one. Not in my house. We are not participating in that.
No, we're gonna in the name of Jesus.
That's
SK
right.
is not gonna get sick.
In the name of Jesus. No sickness. Nom, do you think
salty.
you can control your saltiness for just a few minutes?
I don't know. Depends. If we see some charges tonight. If not,
Maybe.
Everybody knows my position. She has until Friday before I call for her resignation.
Pam Bondi has been in Minnesota since Tuesday afternoon. She's been in Minnesota since yesterday afternoon. Nothing yet.
Can I play devil's advocate for like
No.
one
No,
second?
we'll do that after we have an opportunity to talk with Jim, because that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Is the devil's advocate.
Well,
and
nobody
all that
told
stuff.
me.
Yes. Well, it's because we did. Once again, SK is not ready. SK didn't read
she's
the
ready.
outline.
SK is
didn't read the
always
outline.
ready. That's the thing about SK, folks. If you will come, if you don't know SK yet, you will come to love the fact that her way of preparing is not preparing, because she is fantastic without preparation. If you give her too much stuff to prepare for, she comes in and confused and nervous and scared. So we don't do that. We basically just block her out of all the preparation, just say, show up and then let it rip. And she does. And it's fantastic. That's
Right.
the way she delivers the best content for us. She does all the research. We prepare the show and she shows up. It's just awesome. It works well. All right, folks.
It does.
Hey, over in the comment section, we see you guys over there. We will get to a place where we can be more engaging. If you guys have questions for the candidate that's coming up, feel free to drop those throughout the conversation and we'll try to get to one or two of them. Remember, we will be prioritizing your super chats, and then whatever the heck the thing is over on Rumble that people can do. I can't remember.
They're
what
called
the name of it is.
riots, I believe.
Riots.
I believe they're called riots.
Why on earth would they choose?
Which means
that
I need
word?
I need to
thought
go. Hold
somebody
on.
said they were called rants.
Rants.
Rants, riots. Which means I have to go and get into Rumble, into the actual live stream in Rumble, because we can't see those in our thing over here, our queue. That's okay.
Right.
So yeah, guys. Hey, super chat. You got questions for Jim, for the candidate? Throw them in there. Super chat. We're going to stop what we're doing and we'll ask the question in the middle. Otherwise, we'll save them till the end.
All
Sound
right,
good?
let's do it. Let's do it. Nom, you want to bring Jim up so we can introduce him properly, and then we'll get the ball rolling. We'll probably spend 15, 20 minutes with Jim and pick his brain. I will say I had a chance to look at his website today, and I'm impressed. I am very impressed with what I saw.
Let's do it.
Yeah, there he is.
Here we go. Here it comes.
SK and I switched. Let's switch us back. There we go. SK goes down there. I go up here. Hey, Jim, how are you? Welcome to the show, to the Patriot
Great.
Podcast. As you can tell, we are still trying to figure this whole thing out, but it's starting to work a lot today than it did 4 months ago.
I like the vibe. You guys have a nice vibe going.
Appreciate
Wonderful.
that.
Love
Yeah.
that.
What
I appreciate that.
What I thought we would do is we want to give you a few minutes just to introduce yourself to the audience. The folks in the comments will probably have some questions that can scroll through and we can see them over here on the side. But who are you, Jim, and where do you come from, and why are you doing this? I mean, running for the Senate, it's a pretty big deal.
No, it is. It's a huge undertaking. You have to be a little crazy to do it, but I first of all, I am a married guy. I'm a Christian. Met my wife. My wife was actually my very first client as a lawyer. I asked God for a kind woman, and I met her 2 weeks later, and she needed a divorce attorney, and we've been married 30 years. So we got 3 kids and 3 grandkids, and U.S. Army veteran during the Reagan years, 6 years state legislator, 34 years in trial practice in Sioux City. I founded a nonprofit corporation called the Giving Exchange with some friends to do missions work in Africa. Just some other, so like my public life didn't begin with this, but, God gives you one chance to live out your life for the benefit of others, to elevate the value of others, to look after your, I think he expects us to be more other-centered when it comes to looking after people. And so that's kind of my motivation for it, though, is I think the defining question of our generation comes down to this. You guys are doing this because you see what's down the road, and this is your way of getting in, right?
That's right. Yep.
This is my way of getting in. Like, if I look 20 years down the road and I'm honest, I don't like what I see at all. And I think what's going to define my generation is whether or not we stood up for our grandchildren's freedom and their American dream. And we didn't earn ours. It was given to us. And I think we have a duty to make sure that they get a fair shake, and running up trillions in debt and a whole bunch of other things is why I got in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's such important points. First of all, thank you for the background, and I love to hear the story about how you met your wife. And obviously
She's
faith
awesome.
is a big component of your candidacy and of who you are. And I don't know if you noticed it, but that's a big part of who we are as well. That's what drives us. This team during the 2024 election, I think we held a couple of prayer lives throughout different social media platforms. And where we got started was on TikTok, which I think truly believe that it is the battleground for the next generation. It is the place where these arguments are going to be made to the next generation, who are going to be our leaders 20, 30 years from now. And one of the things that we did in the run up to next election, or to last election, is we opened up a TikTok live prayer session, and we were doing it almost every night for about 2 weeks. And I think at one point we had like 10,000 people in there just praying with us, just praying, praying for the results of one. And it was fantastic. It was awesome. So everything that we do here, everything we do here is totally bathed in prayer. So we appreciate that perspective as well. I want to maybe take us
a little. Okay.
We do.
I do.
He does.
I do.
What'd you say? I didn't catch it.
I say bad words. I say bad words sometimes.
He said everything's based in prayer, and I said, but we cuss a little.
Okay. Well,
we won't do it with you on here.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens. All right. So let's jump into some of the issues. So I was looking through your website, and the thing that jumped out first for me was your segment on America First. I want to ask this question because I think it's going to be really important in the run up to the midterm elections. I think it's going to define how the elections go. There is this split happening among the Republican Party between what I used to think was just an America First agenda, which now seems to be kind of morphing into this weird, perverted version of like America only, and we don't care about anything else except what's happening here. Can you talk a little bit about your version of America First?
Well, I think my version of America First does largely mirror President Trump's view on it. if we don't repatriate manufacturing, we don't have a future. And I think our economy got sold down the river by globalist interests. I really do. If we don't have a border, we don't have sovereignty. And geez, when you look across the pond at England and France, you gotta be really concerned about what's going on over there. And I'm a veteran. Don't put me in harm's way unless you have a plan to win and a plan to exit. And when you win World War II and you lose Vietnam, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It didn't make sense to my friends who served in Vietnam. They knew they could win, and they didn't believe they were given the opportunity to win. So you have to have leadership that keeps the use of the military in a proper frame. So.
Yeah. Have you had a chance to see Donald Trump's national security strategy that was issued?
I was going to ask that. You nailed it.
You want it? Go ahead. You ask it.
No, you're fine.
All
well,
right, so,
go. You go.
Full disclosure, no, I have not. Did that just come out, or?
Well, I think they issued it at the end of November. It was posted on the website, on the White House website back in December. And it basically lays out what the president's agenda for national security is. It's a strategy document. And it kind of aligns itself around what I'm sure you've heard people talking about, kind of this concept of the Monroe Doctrine or the Donroe Doctrine, which is, Western Hemisphere dominance. And I think if you understand that perspective, it is then easy to understand why it's important that we do things that may seem a little bit out of sorts with America First, like removing a communist dictator from Venezuela, right? Or Greenland becomes suddenly very interesting because of its location and its positioning. So in terms of, are you familiar with kind of the Monroe Doctrine and that whole perspective?
In that context, I think I am, sure. And I guess my take on that is this. You have to deal with the realities of of your neighbors, their intentions and their agendas. And I think President Trump is trying to keep this country alive for another 20 or 30 years by doing those very things. The real motivation behind Venezuela, and I think Greenland does have national security implications if you want to set up any kind of a missile defense system north of us. But you guys could probably get into the technical aspects of those things better than I could. But I understand it. And I think the frame of it is based on reality. And, if we're done, it's done.
That's right.
If we're done, it's done.
Well, no, I agree with you. And I'm just kind of going to build on that a little bit. So I would recommend, as you gear up for this campaign, if you have, half an hour here and there, try to read that national security strategy, because it's going to explain to you. President Trump is not, in my opinion, trying to keep this country alive for the next 20, 30 years. I think he is trying to keep the United States the sole global power for the next 100 years. And what he's doing is he's building what they call the arsenal of democracy, which we did back in the 1940s. He's doing it for what the arsenal is going to need to be in the 21st century. And it's not ships, it's not bombs, it's not planes, it's not guns. It's fuel, it's energy, it's rare earth minerals, it's pharmaceuticals, it's manufacturing, it's those things. And he's reshoring all of that. And if you do, then you solidify the United States as the global power as opposed to China, which is what the globalists want. They are forcing China on us. So it's going to be important, because if I could real quick, SK, because the votes that you're going to be forced, that you're going to have are going to be votes, I think, in 2027 and beyond, are going to be to codify that that position and that strategy. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
What do you got,
I was
SK?
just going to say, with the way that Carney in Canada has been talking about China, when you look at the map, Greenland becomes extremely strategic as far as that goes as well, because United States would be then completely around basically what would be China as Canada.
Yeah, I think one thing I was hoping to do, I want to go back a little bit. So in your intro, Jim, you mentioned Europe and the UK, and I suppose it probably has something to do with the censorship and infrastructure that's happening there, and the just absolute invasion that's going on in those countries. Can you talk a little bit about your perspective? Because you mentioned it in your website about censorship in the United States. As a U.S. Senator, what are your plans or ideas to address the censorship environment that is clearly trying to be created in this country? Those of us who come from a platform like TikTok are incredibly used to living under the thumb of CCP style censorship, and it seems to be expanding out. As a senator, how do you address that?
It comes down to accountability and exposure. And, I think bad actors and bad politicians are like rats and cockroaches. They don't like light and they run when light shows up. And I think that's what you have to do. Like, you have to really expose what's really going on. You have to do it with boldness, unapologetically. And I think you have to bring home the realities of how globalist billionaires, enormous corporations are basically using our government to extract every possible penny they can out of us. And I don't know that people see the big picture intentions of what's going on, but I see a little bit of it. And, whether it's your privacy, during COVID, you could be forced to be vaccinated. Your kids getting indoctrinated. Your private property rights is a huge issue in Iowa right now. And so you just see this incremental theft of the Constitution through these business entities and doing it through the lobby. And, I guess one of my big takes on this whole thing is this. We think we elect candidates when in reality we elect corporations. That's what you're doing. So when you see the millions in the bank, just remember you're electing donors. That's what you're doing. People need to know that.
Well, that begs a question, right? I mean, campaigns are incredibly expensive, and those donors, those super PACs, those big businesses, those huge mega corporations and billionaires, they dangle that, huge purse in front of you for your campaign. How do you avoid, how do you get elected when you're competing with someone who's got millions of dollars in their war chest and you're like, I'm not going to be beholden to these guys? How do you do that?
This is my second time around, and I think you have to be strategic in a well thought out media campaign that gets your messaging out. I mean, the great thing about social media is we have other venues other than television and newspapers now. You can send out mass emails, you can send out mass texts. You've got digital media options. There's all kinds of tools in the toolbox that I think are a lot more cost effective and can be used to change hearts and minds. And part of that is get the truth out about who your opponent really is, and tell us what you really want to do, and give us some facts about you and your background that would convince us that you're not like everybody else.
Yeah. Jim, do you mind if I press you on what I think is probably the most important issue in the United States Senate right now, which is we have a Democrat Party who is willing to burn the country to the ground to get their agenda pushed through, or at least it feels like that. And later in the show, we're going to go through a list of things that we're seeing happen in states like Virginia. When Democrats get power, they put the pedal to the floor and they are willing to run over anybody. When Republicans seem to get power, it's like they take a vacation. And it's like the agenda that we all voted for goes to the back burner and they don't really care. And we're seeing that play out. And I've actually referred to it as a color revolution happening in the United States Senate. I mean, there is legislation sitting on John Thune's desk for 9 months to protect our elections, and he hasn't done a darn thing about it. As a U.S. Senator, how do you help push the agenda of the American people through a body that doesn't seem all that interested in doing it?
Sure. Well, I don't know if you saw my website. I was faced with a situation where I wanted to get the heartbeat belt on. And I went to leadership and I said, hey, we got the governor's office, the House. Let's get this done. And I was summarily told we won't be doing that. And I said, well, why? And they said, well, we don't have the votes in the House. And there's a lot of Republican senators in the House who don't want to take the vote because they want to be reelected. So we're not doing it. And I'm like, really? Yeah. So actually I went home and I prayed.
Love it.
And I asked the Lord, I'm like, this isn't right. what can we do about this? And he actually spoke to my heart to talk to a guy whose name is Rick Bertrand. And my first thought was, you do know he owns a bar, don't you? Because he owned a bar. He's this Irish Catholic bar owning guy in Sioux City. And but he's also a shrewd guy and saw the field well. And I went to him and I said, Rick, this is going to sound crazy, but I think you have the idea to get this heartbeat bill thing done. Would you just give it a day or two? He comes back to me 2 days later with a big smile on his face. And he says, I think I got it. He said, if you and me can get 2 other senators to vote against the budget, we got him. We got him. And 2 nights later, 2:20 in the morning, they thought we were joking. We were debating the heartbeat bill. So
Love it.
it doesn't take a majority. Okay. It's just courageous majority big enough to put the foot on the brake of the bus to keep them from getting what they want. And, it takes some moxie because, as soon as you make that decision, you're out of the club. The 3 guys who did that with me, every one of their Senate districts were redistricted and they all lost on re-election.
So since you mentioned that, it doesn't take a majority. And
No.
the United States Senate, it doesn't take a majority. It takes 60 votes to do a lot of things.
No.
What's your position on blowing the smithereens out of the filibuster?
Well, I mean, the filibuster now is to the point where nothing gets done.
That's right.
Nothing meaningful, nothing substantive. And, extending the Obamacare subsidy. Are you kidding me? 230 profits. The premiums double. And we're told it's medical costs, right? And no, actually, coincidentally, your profits also doubled, the big 5 carriers, right? So it wasn't costs. It was greed. And if you incentivize that and you don't confront it, it's just going to keep going. It's going to get worse. And, middle-class people can't afford health insurance. They're not paying for anything. I do medical malpractice. Physicians aren't the decision makers anymore. Insurance companies are. So I think that is an instance where it is proper to work it through the game of the rules. And 51%, we're good.
Yep.
We'll push it through.
You said that you do medical malpractice. How do you feel about the MAHA movement and RFK Jr. as Secretary of Health and Human Services?
Sure. I was following that guy when I first got to the State House. There's a bunch of ladies called Informed Choice of Iowa. And I had an experience in Kenya where I saw an AIDS orphan being given multiple HPV vaccinations every month until she got profoundly ill. And I found out it was one of the big pharmas.
Yeah.
Willing to kill that little girl. And then I met those guys. And then RFK was talking about autism. He was talking about chronic disease metrics and of kids since was it 86 when the whole
86.
vaccination schedule exploded?
Yeah, it was the Childhood Vaccine Injury Act of 1986.
Yeah. Well, those numbers can't be coincidental. I mean, really, come on.
No.
We know that. And I think RFK is doing he's gotten some vaccinations off that schedule. I hope it leads to more. But I have a great deal of respect for that man.
Me too. And they're suing him over the vaccine schedule now. That's a lawsuit that's been filed.
That's insane. They're suing him because he's trying to protect the children of the United States.
Because and the groups that are suing him are all the groups you would expect, the American Academy of Pediatrics, all of the things that you would expect. They're the ones suing, and what they're doing is protecting the profits of the pharmaceutical companies.
Well,
Okay.
how much do they get on the vaccinations at the family doc and at the pediatrician's office?
They get more based on the percentage of children in the practice that are vaccinated.
Well, but the pharmaceutical companies are making their money from the Medicaid, the government subsidized vaccines and that are being paid because the government's paying the top rate.
Yeah.
that they have to pay. That's where they're making a ton of their money from.
Right. But the doctor's offices themselves, they get paid bonuses based on the percentage of the children in the practice that are vaccinated.
I heard one estimate that said like 30% of the average family practice income comes from vaccinations.
That's insane.
Well, that's how they do it across the board. They trickle money out to these people, and they get them hooked on it. It's the welfare state. It's the welfare state. It's not only happening across the country. It's happening in medical practices. It's happening in corporations. You trickle out this income stream to them, and then you threaten to take it away from them. And they're like, wait, I can't afford to have 30% of my total business practice income stripped away. That's how they do it. So, Jim, last question, and I think I want to make sure we turn it over to you and let you have any final words, any final thoughts. But you're an attorney. You practice law. In our estimation, I think we would all agree that there is a massive effort to use this lawfare campaign to stop the Trump agenda, to stop the MAGA agenda, really to basically stop anything that slows down the progression of radical leftist progressive, and I'll just say it, communism and socialism and all the isms that these people love to push on the American people. As a U.S. Senator, how do you address the lawfare tactics that are being used against the American people to make sure that our interests are not being implemented?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, President Trump's judicial nominees have to get through. I don't know what the numbers are on that right now, but you can't win battles if the game's already called, and that's obviously huge. I think, as I said, I think the bad actors in politics hate light, and if you can make something crystal clear as to the real intentions, I'm not a big believer in random events, random occurrence. I think outcomes are intentions, and particularly when there's billions and billions of dollars involved, I'm like, no. This thing was mapped out, and I think what you really have to do, I have found as a lawyer in my practice, the bias and motivation is usually rooted in money, and if you do a deep enough dive, you're probably going to find the truth. Like one of my guys who's a hero for me is James O'Keefe. He's actually a friend of my brother Dan's, and I love what he does. But you have to show, and the other thing is, I think you kind of have to tell people, okay, where's the ship going to go if we follow this course? Because decisions are paths down, decisions are path to a destination. What's the destination here? What, where are you taking us? And I just have this really uncomfortable feeling that they would love to load up our kids on a railroad car and take them to an awful place. If they could. And obviously the image of that is, what that comes from, but
terrifying. Yeah.
It is terrifying.
I have a couple of questions here, if you don't mind. A couple last questions. Who is running against you in this race? And also, can you tell us your thoughts on USAID and National Endowment for Democracy?
Sure. Well, my opponent, her name's Ashley Henson. She actually voted for both of those, for funding to continue for both of those. A cursory glance would tell you that they're used for covert ops, that there's no accountability. These private NGOs are weaponized by political actors who want to avoid transparency and accountability and still want to be able to carry out maybe a regime-changing op overseas. And they need some money to do it. And they look to USAID and they look to NED to do it. And we can't. I mean, fundamentally, if there's no accountability, there's corruption. Okay. If you won't let me look at the books, you're lying. You're not being upfront. And in every instance where we allow that to go on, terrible things have happened. And that USAID and NED, in my view, are one of those things. Ashley Henson has supported both of them. She supported $100 billion to Ukraine, probably more. She supported forcing states to recognize gay marriage. I can't reconcile that with my faith as a Christian. This is interesting. She refused to endorse Trump when he was going to win. She caucused for Nikki Haley.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
And
that just says that speaks.
doesn't
volumes.
that speak to you?
Yeah.
That's neocon.
That's all I
right
needed to
there.
hear. Yeah, it's neocon.
That's
Okay.
all I needed
That's
to
a
hear.
neocon.
Yeah.
She likes war.
So,
All right.
so I mean, that's her club. And, Joni did a lot of similar. I think you're going to get, as I said, to be Joni 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
All
one
right,
of the
listen,
problems
this has
that
been
most of us. Hold on,
we
I
got
just want to one final statement, and we'll wrap and give him a second.
Absolutely.
I think the thing that I would encourage everyone running for office to do, for what it's worth, we talked a little bit about USAID, National Endowment for what I call destroying democracy. We need to get the political establishment to understand that these organizations are no longer engaging in regime change overseas. They are actively engaged in regime change here in this country right now. A color revolution that is very much active and is incredibly successful. SK, who has mapped out these networks from start to finish, understands where the money comes from, who the people are, all of them. She continually reminds us that they are at the 2-yard line. It is first in goal, and they are getting ready to punch into the end zone. That's how close to success they are, because there's hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars flowing through these NGOs designed to do exactly what we see happening in Minnesota right now.
But the good news is they give you their playbook. So if we can just get Congress to start paying attention to their playbook and stopping it, we can
They're still on
actually
vacation.
have a shot. But just so you know, if you didn't already, all of those fired USAID employees are now working for NGOs and have started NGOs, and they are using all of their knowledge of color revolutions in other countries right here on U.S. soil, doing trainings and everything else with protest groups.
Wow.
That's right.
No.
That's right. All right.
So
Jim,
that's something to chew on as you run
No kidding.
for the Senate.
Well, if you're good with data, I'd probably want to have a conversation with you. Sometime
that's what
down
we
the road.
do.
I need a data person.
That's what we do. She's an incredible researcher, and we're pretty good at helping to share her
You
research.
guys
So we
know
want
anything-
to
do
give
know
you the
anything
last
about
word here.
smurfing? Well, I was
Say
going to
that one
ask
more
if
time,
you know
Jim.
anything about smurfing. No, I
Yeah,
didn't mean
we
to
do.
interrupt you.
We do.
Oh,
we
I
know a lot
I
about
an awful,
smurfing.
I know an awful lot about Smurf
Do you really?
donations.
Okay,
too,
well-
so I know a ton about it. Yeah. So we'll let's set up some time to talk offline here.
Absolutely.
And I was going to reach out to Dale about some of the things you said about emails and text messages, because I get about 300 campaign text messages every day now, and I don't read a single one of them. In fact, I delete all of them. So for what it's worth.
Okay.
Excellent. This has been fantastic. So Jim, can you tell everybody that's listening, how do they find you on the socials? What's your @s and on X and
Sure.
Instagram? How do they reach you?
Yeah, well, at Facebook, we're Carlin for U.S. Senate, and on X, we're Carlin and then the number 4 U.S. Senate. We're on Instagram, Carlin for U.S. Senate, and I believe we're getting on True Social. We're on YouTube, and that's where we are.
Awesome.
And you can reach our website is just carlinforusenate.com.
Great. Thank
If
you
you
so
believe-
much for coming
yeah.
on and chatting with us this evening. I had
Absolutely.
a really good time. It was a really good conversation, and I'm really excited to see where your campaign goes.
That's right.
Thanks
That's
for the
right.
opportunity, you guys.
All right.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Jim. It's great to meet you.
You as
Folks
well.
over in the comments, I hope you got something out of that. Make sure you check out Jim's website. Carlin for, hold on. Let me make sure I get it right. I want to make sure I get it right. CarlinForUSSenate.com. CarlinForUSSenate.com. I'm telling you, when I went to the website and I was chatting with Nom and SK, I was like, oh, I like this guy. He's saying the right things.
Yep.
The stuff
what it
that he has listed on that website and then he just articulated here, I didn't disagree with anything that he said. That was fantastic. So
It was.
Jim, thank
Hey.
you very much for coming up.
Absolutely. That was fantastic. Great. Enjoyed the conversation. While we were talking, listen, we said we were going to prioritize some super chats during the conversation. We got 2. None of them had anything to do with the conversation with Jim, but we're going to do them now. Apparently, Trump has gotten some part of Greenland as U.S. territory as a result of his work at the World Economic Forum in Davos today. Can anybody verify that, please? What did he get and how did he do it?
I don't know. I saw his post today about how he wasn't going to put tariffs on them and that they were going to be having some discussions. That's all I saw.
Okay. If anybody can give us some detail about what that means, he got some of Greenland, let us know. That would be wonderful.
Well, I had heard that there's an actual deal in the works. I had seen somewhere, and I can't verify this, that the EU seems to be kind of moving in the direction of supporting it. Probably because Trump negotiated in the background using tariffs as a negotiating lever, like he always does. Of course, the media wants to tell you that, EU is going to stand up to Trump. The Brits are going to send military troops to Greenland. They're somehow these people who are absolutely entirely dependent on the United States for their own security are going to grow a set and are going to stand up to the United States over Greenland. Are you freaking kidding me? What a bunch of pansies.
Wasn't it Germany that sent troops to the Greenland, but it was like 16 of them and they left already?
Yeah. Well, so that's what the media did. So the media tells you Germany's sending troops to Greenland to stand up to Donald Trump. But really what happened is they already had a training, something from on the schedule. And they sent a handful, like 12.5 folks there who basically were just there for a few days and turned around and went home. Like, this is the kind of propaganda crap we have to deal with. Did we read this one?
No, yeah. We got another super chat from Patriotic Critical Thinker. That's a good one. Here to support our rights and the right things.
That's right.
Okay, cool. I appreciate that.
Paul Prater, I'm going to throw this up here because I have not yet watched his speech and I was really looking forward to it. So I'm going to spend time probably tomorrow listening to the speech. I don't know if you guys have been, is it with the Praetorian? No, those two ladies that, Promethean. Have you guys been following the Promethean accounts anywhere?
No.
You need to. Two older women who've been engaged in politics for a long time, very long time. They've been talking a lot about Trump's trip to Davos and what he was expected to deliver based on their perspective. And I want to go see how well it aligns. And I think maybe on Friday, we should maybe talk a little bit about his speech, because if it's as good as what everyone is saying that it was, it sounds like he took it right to the heart of the globalist. And I want to deal with that on Friday.
He did. Steve Bannon, I just caught a small clip of it. Steve Bannon said, if you're a globalist, then you took that speech as Trump, a bull in a China shop, and you're the China shop, right? But if you're a nationalist, it was one of the greatest speeches you've ever heard along those lines. So
that's what I'm hoping for. What I'm hoping for. All right, Nom. I know I asked you to kind of contain your spiciness during that interview. What are you mad about?
What am I mad about?
Yeah.
Well, I'm mad at Pam Bondi. I'm mad at Pam Bondi because I have spent months defending the Department of Justice because
almost exactly a year.
Almost, well, no, I mean months. I mean, listen, we got to give them a lot of. You got to get up to speed. You got to get up and running and ramped up and all those things. And listen, I understand, and I have argued, and I've argued against some of the biggest accounts on X, attorneys out there who blow my mind, who don't understand what it takes to build these cases. What Pam Bondi and the DOJ and the FBI has had to deal with coming into the positions that they've come into, the evidence, if it even exists anymore, it's been scattered to the winds. It's in burn bags. It's stuffed in lockers. It's stuffed in safes. It's literally hidden as hard as they could, so they couldn't get it. It's classified. They got to do all this stuff. And I understand. More importantly, most of the crimes that everybody wants to see people held accountable for, most of those crimes are already out of the statute of limitations. That's just a fact. Okay.
Right.
Most federal crimes have a statute of limitations of 5 years. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, 5 years.
So what that basically means, they have to come up with another legal theory in order to get us to the place where we expect them to go, which is accountability, right?
Correct. Right. But so they have to stitch together what is probably, in my opinion, going to be the most complex case the DOJ has ever stitched together since, a massive RICO case or the Enron case, right? It's going to be hugely difficult to put together. And it's my opinion that they put that case together in less than a year, and it's being presented in front of the Southern District of Florida, the grand jury down there right now. So I give them
that's not a theory. We know that.
Right.
We know that.
I give them a ton of grace on that because there's so many people, massive conservative lawyer accounts on X who are pissed that nothing's happening. You should know what this takes to get there. What I'm mad about is that since Sunday, not one person has been arrested for what happened to that Baptist church in St. Paul. That is a very different type of case than what we've seen the DOJ have to build. You watched it happen. You have the probable cause. Even though they're federal crimes, you weren't there to arrest them. You wouldn't have federal agents to do it anyway. You can still write the charging documents and go and pick them up like tomorrow. Why have they not been arrested? If I don't see arrest by Friday, I am done. Pam Bondi must resign. Next woman up, Harmeet Dillon, please get the fucking job done.
Doesn't a judge, though, still have to issue a warrant?
Yeah, I think a judge has to sign off on an arrest.
Yeah.
Listen, so I think that's part of the issue is the judges and also the Minnesota office. I don't think they're really cooperating much with the Trump administration.
Well, I know that's like 6 U.S. attorneys in Minnesota resigned. So she had to fire 6 more. So I understand that aspect of it. Okay. Maybe there is some more grace that I need to build into this. Maybe I give her till Monday. I don't know. But I think your timeline is spot on. I think Friday is the perfect deadline for the Department of Justice to produce some stinking results. And the grace that I'm willing to give is the fact that Donald Trump went over to Davos. He's been out of the country on Air Force One, dealing with the globalist. And I know some people would say, that would be the perfect time for the Department of Justice to move into Minnesota and do whatever they got to do when Trump is out of the country. I suspect that there is probably some type of conversation happening saying, don't do anything until I get back. Well, why would that happen?
Huh?
Why would that be happening?
Well, I can't imagine the public outcry of the Department of Justice arresting a bunch of people if Donald Trump is over at a foreign country. You know how these people are. They're freaking lunatics.
Oh, I get it. So essentially what those people are saying, because this is where I started to really melt down this afternoon, right? Because I started to think about this, and I posed this as a hypothetical, but a couple of days ago, actually on Monday, I posed as a hypothetical that what would you think if you saw us do that in a mosque? No. That's not the hypothetical, because now what from Tim Walz to the Attorney General Keith Ellison to the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry, to the mayor of St. Paul, who nobody knows who the hell that person is. I don't even know that person's name. They don't exist. To apparently Pam Bondi on down. It's perfectly legal if the Proud Boys wanted to embed somebody like Nick Shirley and go and storm and terrorize a Somali mosque in Minneapolis. It is perfectly legal as of right now. They could do it. And nobody could complain about it. No hate crime, no nothing. I don't know why we're not doing it.
The subpoenas that were served, I know for a fact, Ellison's was only for documents and records and things. It wasn't for him himself.
Yeah, see, here's the thing.
That's a different case, though.
Right. Let's pull this back up.
That's a tougher case to make. Yeah.
The subpoenas, from my understanding, and if we're incorrect about this, please somebody let us know. I'm happy to be fact checked on this. My understanding is that these subpoenas are dealing specifically with the interference and the conspiracy of local and state officials to obstruct the application of federal law. That's correct. What these grand juries have been impaneled to investigate, and rightfully so. That's going to take a little bit of time. I recognize it's going to take a little bit of time.
Right.
What Nom is pissed off about, what I'm pissed off about, what I think SK and everybody is mad about, is that you don't need a grand jury to issue a warrant to go arrest somebody for what they did to that church, because it's on camera. It is literally, not only is it on camera, but we showed you on Monday an ironclad case. They brag about it. They posted about it on social media. The BLM activists, the lunatics on the left, Don Lemon literally ran entire days worth of coverage of him embedded with a domestic terror organization invading a church. It is a probable cause case. It doesn't require subpoenas to be issued to go stand in front of a grand jury. That's not what it takes. It takes a Department of Justice with a little bit of balls to actually go out and do their job.
Well, tell us how you really feel, Patriot Dad.
Well, I'm not done yet.
But remember when I told you that was BLM, that they were trying to resurrect BLM 2.0? Yeah. Then who did we see out giving press conferences and speaking and stuff wearing a George Floyd with the crown on his head shirt?
Well, it's worse than that.
William Kelly.
Because the Department of Justice and Pam Bondi have been entirely absent. Sure, she showed up in Minnesota. Everyone reported about how she's got this unannounced visit. Actually, no, pull that up. Pull up the Pam Bondi, who ran in front of a camera and did the normal stunt that she does when she gets somewhere. She shows up in Minnesota on Tuesday afternoon, finds a camera, and then says this.
Well, before we do that, that's good. Well done. Before that, we've got a $5 riot or Rumble or whatever the hell they're called on Rumble from
Rumble
Family
Rant.
Crest, who's a P1, by the way.
It's a Rumble
It's a
rant.
rant. It's a Rumble rant. Sorry. From Family Crest. And I'm getting old. I'm losing the battle. I can't see small things anymore, like within like the last 3 months. So if I had posted myself, this is from Family Crest to P1. If I had posted myself murdering someone, would they wait to build a case or arrest me?
They would arrest you.
They would arrest you because it would be a probable cause case, which is exactly what this is. I'm not mad about the grand jury subpoenas. I understand that. I'm not mad about all of the big, the years-long seditious conspiracy. I understand that. This case with St. Paul is not one of those. It is very different, and they should be in jail already. They should be arrested already.
But question, isn't the process just a little bit different for the feds? I mean,
Sure,
had the state police or the county sheriffs or the local police, the city police, done their job on Sunday, they would have all been in custody on Sunday.
No doubt.
I agree.
But they did not do that. So now it's like the feds have to go and they have to go make sure all of their ducks in a row, because you can't just bring a federal case on somebody. I mean, and you have to have judges to sign off. I don't think the judges are cooperating because they're all in on all of this stuff.
Well, that's fine. Then
the
you know what? Pam Bondi needs to come out and be like, hey, guys, it's open season on churches for right now. It is because apparently in Minnesota, federal district court judges or whatever, it would be a federal district court judge, I would imagine. They're saying that what happened in that church is fine. That's perfectly fine. It's perfectly acceptable, which would mean that it would be perfectly acceptable for the Proud Boys to embed Nick Shirley and go do the same fucking thing in a Somali mosque.
No,
right?
I'll play that video of Pam Bondi because SK, you made a really salient point, and I'm going to expand on it after we hear Pam Bondi doing what our dear friend Claire Patriot says is her real job. She's the social media expert. That's what Pam Bondi is. She is the social media talking head for the Department of Justice. It doesn't look like she's doing a damn thing in terms of law enforcement.
Well, I mean, that's kind of her job, actually, as the AG is out in front. She's not doing any investigating. She's signing things, and that's it. But anyway, let's go.
But she does love a camera.
Whether it's a law enforcement officer, no one is above the law in this state or in this country. And people will be held accountable. This state is a mess right now. We've seen the chaos, and it's constant. And our men and women in law enforcement deserve to be safe. And that's what we're going to do in Minnesota.
Hey, you know what, Pam Bondi? If I hear you say no one is above the law one more time, and people continue to act like they're above the law, I might lose my freaking mind. I might lose my mind because, hold on now. Pam, if you're having problems with judges at the federal district court level refusing to cooperate when there is clear probable cause cases put in front of them and they have decided that they don't want to actually prosecute violent insurrectionists, why don't you use the camera and the microphone to talk about that? Why don't you tell the American people that you have a seditious conspiracy playing out at the district court level instead of saying no one's above the law?
Or there's actually a remedy that exists for that exact purpose, and it's called the Insurrection Act. It
That's right.
literally exists for when the rule of law cannot be enforced because you've got judicial activists, insurrectionist judges, you've got local state police who are refusing to arrest people. That is the purpose of the Insurrection Act. If they won't do the job, invoke it. Period.
And the powers are out of balance. I was talking about this today with Lisa when I was watching the vote in the House Oversight Committee on the Clintons and holding them in contempt. The powers are out of balance. They've been neutering the power of the executive branch for so long. They've got it to where Congress has all this power, the courts have all of this power, and Trump can't do his job. But they only have it that way when Trump's in office. When Biden was in office and he was an actual potato, all the people around him were getting stuff done. He didn't have any idea he was even president, but by God, things were getting done.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked about that over and over and over again, that whenever a Democrat is in office, they get to enjoy the full weight and power of the Article 2 president of the United States. Whenever a Republican is in office, they do not get to enjoy those same powers. They just don't.
Right.
The system is built. The system is currently structured and built for that purpose. Democrats do what they want. Progress the progressive ball down the road. Republicans, the entire system is meant to stop them from actually following the Constitution, which is wild to me. Why?
That's right.
Yeah, I have to say this really quick because I just saw this comment, and that's exactly the description I've been looking for since she was appointed in January of last year. It says, I swear Pam Bondi looks like a grown-up Carol Ann Freeling from the movie Poltergeist. That's it. Nailed it. I'm like, where? What does she look like? She reminds me of something. That's it. That's what it is.
Yeah. Here's something that I want to be careful of, right? I don't want to bloody her up too bad at this point because she may actually frog march some people out of there tomorrow
I'm not
or Friday.
saying anything bad.
Yeah.
That's what she.
I'm not saying anything bad.
That girl from the Poltergeist. That's exactly where it is. Where I'm
but
like,
she's in her 60s. I think she looks amazing for in her 60s. Frankly, let's be honest.
Yeah, I say that
she
all
looks
the
incredible.
time. We're not
She looks
trying to
incredible for her
dog on
60s.
Pam Bondi. Okay, we
No.
just think she needs to somebody needs to light a fire under her ass. That's
Like,
it.
I don't understand. If you are having judicial insurrection, why not go in front of a camera and talk about it? Why not tell the American people that we have a problem in our judicial system? Why? Why not do that instead of just the same old tired, recycled bullcrap line of nobody's above the law? Because right now it looks like there's a whole lot of people that are above the law. That's what
I'll
it
tell
looks
you
like.
why. I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the day, as soon as she gets off from behind the camera and the microphone, she still has to deal with those same judges, and there's still no real way to deal with them. There's no way to get rid of them, to impeach them if you've got a Congress who won't do their job either. So she can't make her job harder by doing that. I understand that. I do. And I don't know when I became the voice of reason, but this is
Stop
crazy.
it. You're not making this show as much fun as it was supposed to be.
And Paul
Oh.
Prater, I'm with you on that. He said, I hope she makes us all eat our words. I'll own it. 100%. I hope she makes us eat our words. I will sit here and eat them all day long because that's what we want. We want her to do stuff. We're not people that are going to be like, not humble and be like, oh, well, we want what's best for our country. And this is what's best for our country. So if she proves us wrong, great. Go Pam.
I already ate my words just now. I just said, I do not want to bloody her up too bad in case she actually comes through and we get some arrests on Thursday or Friday. I don't, because that's not my point. My point is to motivate her. Right? Now, listen, we get a couple thousand people may watch this podcast. A couple more may share it. She may never know, even though we know some people are actually watching this. But I'm telling you, if you have pissed me,
no.
Here, I'm telling you, Pam Bondi, and I'm telling you, President Trump in the White House, if you have lost NomDePlume as a defender of what Pam Bondi is having to go through at the DOJ, you've lost the entire base, and she's not salvageable. I'm just going to tell you that. If you've lost me as a defender, because I've done everything I can to defend the uphill battle that her and the DOJ has had, if you lose me, you might as well get rid of her anyway, even if she does frog march all of Minnesota out there. I don't know.
That's true. I'm as loyal as they come. I will fight till the death. And I agree. If you lose me and you lose
I went toe to toe
with
I went toe to toe with Viva Fry for like 48 hours on X. And just, if you guys know who that account is, I don't care because he was wrong. He was dead wrong.
Well, here's the problem that this inaction is creating, I think, for all of us, for the folks in the comments, for the P1s, the people who are engaged in this digital landscape that we live in, is because nothing is happening, even though things are actually happening under the surface. But nonetheless, it looks like nothing is happening. We have to sit here and absorb being taunted by domestic terrorists, taunting us, not only to us, but literally taunting the attorney general. What's this idiot? I can't remember this guy's name. What's his name?
William Kelly.
William Kelly.
Pause it. Pause him.
Look at his shirt. Look at his shirt. Yeah. I told you it was BLM 2.0. And what did he do the next day? Put on one of those stupid shirts and came out.
Wait, he's not. This is BLM. They're trying to create BLM. I don't think they're having as much luck as they. It's not working, in my opinion, yet. This is still very much Antifa and paid, not BLM stuff. BLM is on the edges.
Right. No. I'm talking about when I was talking about the people involved that organized it and all the organizations involved. They're all BLM organizations and it's funded by BLM people, which is why I said they were trying to resurrect BLM 2.0. And I found it hilarious. He then came out the next day wearing that shirt, talking to people, but also he's been Antifa at these same protests just last week. And before that, he was in DC protesting with the vets and Jolly Green Gingivitis. I mean, he's going to be whatever group they need him to be. He's an agitator.
Here's the deal. He's
a paid agitator.
They're all the same. Antifa is BLM. BLM and Antifa are these leftist military groups, vet groups. They're all the same. The armed SLC queer groups, they're all the same people. It's the same networks. It's the same radicalized pipelines. It's the same funding. They put on a different uniform depending on the audience that they're trying to stir up. They need BLM in the streets in order to validate the fact that they've got a wide cross-section of the American people. The only thing that they've been missing so far, and the reason why their protests have failed, is because they haven't been able to get black and brown people out. That's why this effing moron is wearing a BLM shirt to try to convince them to join him in the streets, even though he's actually a general for Antifa, even though he's been running around with Jolly Green Gingivitis, loser, the weirdo guy, and taunting people over in DC. They're paid agitators. And now he's paid to taunt the attorney general. And Pam Bondi doesn't seem like she's interested in doing a damn thing about it. Listen to this.
I mean, what we're seeing around this country is they're using their political influence to attack people that disagree with them. They're going to come at me with charges, and I'm not scared of that. There's no base for these charges. I did not block them from, their service. They welcomed us in. They never asked us to leave. The police never came in and removed us. So we didn't stop their service. In fact, people were still praying the entire time. The music was still playing the entire time. So, Pam Bondi, you want to come and arrest me? You want to come and give me charges? So be it. And for all the people giving me death threats, threatening my life, kill me. Go ahead, kill me. Because you know what? As Fred Hampton said, you can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution.
I mean, this guy.
That asshole could not say that if he was sitting in jail right now.
Don't move, because everything that he just said, we showed the video on Monday of what he actually did. I don't know if we need to replay it. You tell me. Do you want me to replay the video of what he did on Monday?
No, we don't have to. Okay, pull it in. Let's do it. We need to watch it because people maybe need a reminder, because he made some very definitive statements. He just flat out lied multiple times, saying he wasn't asked to leave. They were still praying. Yeah, you know why they were praying? Because there was literal demons in their house of worship. They were praying against the demonic spawns of Satan who broke down their door and were harassing them.
And they didn't know if they were about to start mowing them down with ARs or whatever, because it wasn't even 6 months ago. You had Annunciation getting shot up and all those kids in there. All the parents and kids just watched this unfold in their city not even 6 months ago at church while kids were praying.
Yeah. So this guy just said that they were invited in. They didn't interrupt their service. They were still praying, and the police never came. The police didn't show up for 45 minutes, which is the problem. That's the problem. Anyway, let's play it.
All these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit as a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No! Jesus would dine with immigrants. Do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino community? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day protesting this attack on humanity? Where are you? You're sinners. You're pretending to be Christians. But we know you live an easy life, don't you? A very easy life while people are starving.
Okay.
I need to pause this.
Are we going to count how many times they've said leave? Are we going to count how many times the pastor asked on Lemon to leave? Are we going to count?
Where are the men?
Yeah.
Where are the men? Look, those were two. I don't mean to be insensitive. Those were two boys. Young men were the only ones, at least in this video shot, that had the cojones to stand up and say something. Where the hell are the men? They were all sitting on their asses with their hands raised in the air, praying for God to come do something to fix this mess. Guess what, God? Guess what, men? That's your job. That asshole should have been laid out on his ass on the floor with the way he was talking to people.
No,
he wouldn't have an effective security team in place, kicking and screaming. Where are all the men? Anybody? Where are you, men? What the hell are you doing? You're allowing a band of lunatics to take over your church and you're not doing anything about it? No. Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable.
I'm gonna reiterate my earlier point. Just so everybody is aware, that behavior is still legal if I go and do that in a Somali mosque tomorrow. By the way.
No.
Yeah,
it's not. You will be arrested on the spot.
How are you going to arrest me when he just did that?
No. You don't understand. The system that they have created in Minnesota has allowed for this environment to happen. And the fact that we apparently have a feckless attorney general who is, I don't know what she's waiting for. You just saw it right there. That was a federal crime. That was at least 4 federal statutes that were broken on camera and 2 state statutes that were broken on camera. Look, we know Governor Walz isn't going to do a damn thing about it because he's actually creating this so that they can distract people from the fact that he's going to have to answer subpoenas in front of a grand jury because of the things that they were doing, which I'll get to in a minute. But Pam Bondi, I don't know what you're waiting for. And I'm getting even more angry as I watch this stuff.
That's why I came in salty.
And don't forget, remember, Nick Sorter got his camera, $1,000 camera, yanked out of his hand while he was in his car. And the Minnesota Police Department made Nick leave the area. They didn't go after the person that stole the camera. They told him he needed to leave the neighborhood. That was their neighborhood, and he needed to leave.
Not only that.
And you know they ID'd the vehicle or the license plate on the vehicle that she got into. It was registered to one of those autism centers.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a video clip.
This is the definition of the Insurrection Act, folks. I'm sorry.
Right.
It's the definition of it.
I have a video clip of Nick Sorter and his team talking to a police officer, a Minneapolis police officer, about the fact that they are looking for his camera. And the officer straight up told him,
I don't have it.
You need to leave. And if we have to come back because we keep getting calls, we're going to arrest you.
Arrest the victim. The victim that's trying to recover his property because the police aren't doing anything.
Yeah, guys, again, this is the definition of the Insurrection Act. Yeah,
this is the police you're dealing with. They're protecting the criminals, and they are not doing anything to protect the law-abiding citizens. When you are in church worshiping God, that is the absolute last place you should expect these people to be coming in and assaulting you.
Insanity. I'm losing my mind over this. We've got so much content. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to it all.
Hey, I know. Fine. AG Ellison said he won't prosecute. Fine. That means that I can legally go and do the same thing in a Somali mosque. I'm sorry. That's the position I'm taking. The Proud Boys can embed Nick Shirley and go and do the same exact thing, the same exact behavior in a Somali or St. Paul tomorrow.
I don't think Nick Shirley is the right person to use in this analogy. I think you probably need to embed like someone like Nick Fuentes, someone who's going to go in and is going to be a racist piece of crap in that roster. Jake Lang.
Jake Lang.
Yes.
Listen, I get it. I just mean an embedded journalist, right? Journalist. That's all I meant. But
that's right. Now, there is one saving grace. All right. So this is why I think we do need to have at least a little bit of grace until Friday. We're starting to see reporting now, and this came out of MS Now. So take it for what it's worth. I don't know, but we're starting to see reporting now about the Pentagon ordering more active duty soldiers to be ready for possible Minneapolis deployment. The department has issued a ready to deploy order for an Army military police brigade stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So, I said earlier that I'm wondering.
Anonymity, anonymous sources.
Yeah, I know. And about anonymous sources, but I'm wondering, and I see stuff like this, and I'm wondering, I'm like, Donald Trump was overseas. He was at Davos. Is it possible they're just waiting for him to get back before they actually start to pull the trigger on some of this stuff?
That's really interesting. I have a neighbor who just had to leave quickly to go and sit for their grandkids. Their son is a captain of a Marine Corps military police unit, and he had to leave quickly.
Oh, there you go. It might be true then.
So maybe that is true. Did we just verify an MS Now story?
That's crazy. That'd be
in real time.
Yeah, I'm not giving any more details, but that literally happened.
pieces.
She texted my wife and said, "Hey, I want to go watch the kids, watch the grandkids."
MSNBC coming out with actual stories, freaking crazy. You gotta get one every now and then, or people will quit listening.
Well, look, I mean, think about it, because that's not the only one. You guys saw the John Solomon interview that he did on Steve Bannon today, right? Let's pull that up and take a look at John Solomon.
Are we ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
See, so this is why I give them a little bit of grace
until Friday.
I don't on this case. That's my deadline on this. The rest of them, I understand that they're literally trying to wade through a mountain of barbed wire and Constantino wire. Okay, I get it. All right.
Holy crap, we got 318
Trump
people
is
watching the show right now.
That the 2020 election was stolen, and he said, "Hey, in a couple of days, there's going to be some developments you're going to hear about the prosecution of this." You've got a breaking story that gets to the heart of the deep state. That's a blockbuster. Can you take us through that?
First, what the president's talking about is some documents that are going to be declassified from ODNI and the Justice Department, and some new indictments coming. So, as I said on your show last week, the machinery's finally ramped up. They're finally staffed, and you're going to start to see a significant wave of indictments. Pam Bondi's in Minneapolis. I think you will see some of the funders of these protests indicted soon for bank and tax criminality. So keep an eye on that. I think they're going to use the tax law like they did with Al Capone to go after these and say they said they were doing X, but they're doing Y, and that violates their tax status. So keep an eye on Pam Bondi in Minneapolis with Kash Patel. There isn't an accident. They landed on the ground there. It wasn't for optics. It was for indictments. And then I think you'll see some stuff on elections. Keep an eye on Tulsi Gabbard. She's been working on some really amazing declassifications that I think will blow all of our minds soon. And I think that's going to be a big moment.
All right. There's a lot there, a lot of stuff that we could probably spend some time in later shows talking about. But the one that I think this is a perfect pivot. SK, you look like you're getting ready to say something.
People were telling me to look up the Nikema TV Armstrong chick and saying she was part of BLM. And I was just telling her that I looked it all up right after it happened. I knew all that days ago.
Yeah. So we tasked SK with an assignment back on Monday to find out.
We actually showed it on Monday.
Yeah, and we walked through all of that on Monday. So go back and watch episode 44. We showed all that. We laid out the case perfectly for the Department of Justice to be able to step in on Tuesday and make arrests. And yet it's Wednesday night and there hasn't been a damn thing done yet. Not one thing. But there has been some subpoenas issued. There has been some activity happening in the grand jury level. John Solomon just talked about it, related to some of these organizations that are funding this stuff. But on top of that, some really important key people received those subpoenas.
Pause, because I want you to be careful, because you said subpoenas have been issued in relation to the funding of this. Do you have
No,
something that
I didn't say
okay.
that. I said
I thought you think you did.
John Solomon said that that they are going after people who are
There will be indictments
responsible.
coming. There's been no subpoenas issued. Right. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
you can't get an indictment without. Well, I guess you can. You can go to a grand
Yeah, you
jury
can.
without bringing them
Yeah, you
in.
can.
Okay. Let me clarify that. The subpoenas that I'm talking about that were issued to Governor Walz. They issued to Attorney General Keith Ellison. They were issued to Jacob Fry, and then whatever that bozo mayor of St. Paul's name is. But they were also issued to the Hennepin County prosecutor as well. Now, how are these things all connected? Well, first, and I think it's important that you understand the network that these guys have created inside their local and state governments. And I'm going to show you a video here in a few minutes on why I think they created this, just so you understand why some of these people are in fact being pulled up there. So we have pretty clear evidence that Jacob Fry, who is the mayor of Minneapolis, his
Small
wife,
fry.
Small Fry, which, by the way, is the
Small fry.
most surprising aspect of this entire story, is the fact that he has a wife, but apparently he does, a woman by the name of Sarah Clark. Sarah Clark, up until right at the moment where the FBI raided the law office that was representing the masterminds of the Feeding Our Future scandal that sold taxpayers from $250 million, his wife was a lobbyist for that law firm. So you wonder why he's being pulled in, or why a grand jury subpoena has been issued? Probably has something to do with that.
And what was that the same? And maybe those in the chat need to answer this, because we know that there was a judge who basically overturned the conviction of some people that were convicted for fraud. Was that the fraud case that his wife was the lobbyist for the law firm? Is that the same case that judge overthrew out that conviction?
I don't know.
Someone in the chat look that up for us. That'd be even a bigger deal.
That's right. And we already know about Keith Ellison and the recorded audio tapes of him in conversation, what appeared to be very corrupt quid pro quo type of conversations with Somali business owners who are likely involved in the same scandal, or at least involved in the piracy that's been happening in that state. We already know that he's on tape being implicated in those scandals.
Wait, what did you say her name was?
Sarah Clark.
Okay, well, the judge's name is
C-L-A-R-K-E.
Sarah West, and she
Okay.
overturned the conviction in November 2025.
Is it the same case that she was the lobbyist for the law firm?
I don't know. I'll look.
What was the name of the case there, Patriot Dad? That she was
Feeding
involved
Our-
with?
Well, so she worked as a lobbyist for the
Right.
law firm who represented the masterminds of the Feeding Our Future
I'm
Feeding Our
telling
Future
you,
scandal.
okay. I hate saying this because that soundbite in our video drives me
That's
crazy.
why it's there, SK, because that's your
But-
tagline.
I hate it. But seriously, I've been
Say it all the
saying
time.
this since June, since before they arrested Vance Bolter, and I went down all those rabbit holes, knew everything about him except his blood type, and didn't have a DNA sample before they arrested the dude. And I told you guys that this was all tied to the fraud in Minnesota. And then when they arrested him, he had left a letter for Kash Patel, and he was saying that Tim Walz, basically had him do this. And I 100% that, because I was saying that before they ever arrested the guy.
That's right.
It's obvious. They're all tied together in more than one way.
Well,
And
I'm
it's
gonna
not
show
just
you a
Minnesota. Hold on.
surprising video here in a minute too.
Hold on. It's not just Minnesota. I brought this up because Paul Prater's right. Omar wrote the amendment to get the funding for the daycares. They're all in on it. And it's not just Minnesota. Here later on, if we get to it, I don't know, this may be a 3-hour episode. I don't know. Or 2.5-hour episode. We're going to show you what they're doing in Virginia right now to create the infrastructure to enable fraud and make it illegal to investigate it, which is exactly what all these people are doing.
So let's do this. Let's zip through the rest of this stuff in Minnesota, because there's a couple really important points that we want to talk about. And then we have got to get to what's going on in Virginia. We have got to get to the Department of Justice's new website, where you can actually go out and look up the people who are being protected by these idiots. And we have to get to the video of the oversight committee in Minnesota. You guys have to see the infrastructure and the morons that they put in positions of oversight over these nonprofit organizations and these government agencies, just so you can see exactly how they're setting up these scandals. All right. So I don't know if you saw this, but here's an article that came out from Town Hall. Bombshell. Oh, this is the wrong one. Nope. Hold on. I need this one. Daily Wire. Minneapolis prosecutor's top aide was part of anti-ICE protest at a church. I don't know if you guys saw this, but one of the people who were embedded in the BLM Antifa radical lunatic communist organization that decided to raid the church actually works for the Hennepin County prosecutor. The prosecutor's name is attorney Mary Moriarty.
And running for office.
That's right. And this idiot, Jameel Lundy, worked as a intergovernmental affairs coordinator for attorney Moriarty, who, by the way, received a subpoena to go stand in front of a grand jury for a bunch of reasons. I also am hearing allegedly that she's been under investigation for a while for preferential treatment and the way she prosecutes and making prosecutory decisions based on race, which is a big problem in these blue cities. Is married to St. Paul City Council member Anika Bowie, and this guy, Jameel Lundy, is also running for a seat in the state legislature as a Democrat.
Folks, real quick, this is a government employee. I mean, they are like a silk threads distance away from connecting what happened in that church to government sanctioned attack on that church. Prosecutor from the judicial branch of the I don't know how that all breaks down in the state of Minnesota, but from the prosecutor's office tacitly condoning an attack on that church. Maybe that's freaking why. Is that why Pam Bondi and Cash Patel are actually in there? Because they're going to take the government down with this. They could.
Well, the whole thing is going to come down. But get this. I saw a comment that said something about wanting to know about Gwen Wall's NGOs. And I thought, I don't remember all of the NGOs she's involved with. Do you want to know one of the boards that she sits on?
Yeah.
Special Olympics. Tim Shriver.
Oh, God.
You guys, I'm telling you. What did I say? What did I say?
Every time.
And I said, Charlie Kirk getting killed would blow the lid off of all of this and expose everything. And that's exactly what is happening. If somebody would just listen.
We all listen.
I'm telling you. Hold on.
No, I'm going to blow your mind here in a second. You read the super chat. I'm pulling something up that you have to see.
Here's a super chat from GR Patriot. This channel's destined to be huge, very bigly. Thank you. I like that. I think GR Patriot just said this podcast is, people are listening apparently. All right, we'll keep making videos if y'all keep listening.
All right.
Do we have to be professional though, or can we still be conversational? I don't want to be one of those podcasts that's all like a news program.
Listen, Nom has reintroduced a political reality where it is not only allowed, but it is encouraged to use the word retard. So no, we do not have to be professional in our presentation.
That's true.
I'm going to connect a dot that I don't know if has been connected yet. I tried to make a video about this 2 days ago, and TikTok in their overlord censorship apparatus decided to give me a strike for this, even though I showed this image in the video. One of the reasons why I think the Minneapolis mayor has been subpoenaed is because there is a leaked email that came from the city of Minneapolis. Somebody inside the city decided to leak an email that the city of Minneapolis sent out to all of their employees. This went out as an all-employee email. Here's what the city is doing in response to the federal government's actions in Minneapolis. They're suing the federal government. They're standing by city policy. They're protecting city spaces. ICE is not allowed inside city buildings without a judicial warrant. And listen to this. They are guiding city staff on how to respond if ICE activity is reported and how to protect residents' rights and safety. Working with partners. The city is tracking reports of ICE activity and working with community groups to share accurate information and resources. This is nothing less than a tantamount admission from the city of Minneapolis that they are actively tracking and working with these organizations who are engaged in very clear violations, obstructions of justice, possibly sedition.
Do you think that the city of Minneapolis were the ones who told the BLM activist group that that particular church has a pastor there who has some relationship with ICE and go there?
That's probably why they're asking for internal communications.
That's exactly why they're asking for internal communications. And it's not just internal communications from the last few weeks. They're asking for internal communications going back to January of 2025. They want to see a full year's worth of internal communications. They don't care to talk to Jacob Fry. They want to see what they've been talking about behind the scenes.
Because this has been being planned since at least January of 2025. We know. I was in the protest groups. I saw it happen.
By the way, folks,
you're the best, SK. By the way, SK, my wife loves you. She thinks you're
We
fantastic.
just did all
I
this
love your
off
wife.
the cuff.
Yeah.
Like that whole segment was totally off the cuff. Like SK was researching.
Oh, we didn't have a single note.
No, I just remembered that I had a screenshot saved somewhere, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm going to pull this up because it works and it's relevant and it's important, and it connected a very critical dot. Was the city of Minneapolis involved in obstruction of justice, potentially sedition? And they sent an email to their entire
And the
team.
attack on that church.
We don't know. No.
No. We know because
We
they
know.
told us in that email. They told
It
us.
came to us in
now
a
I know
dream,
no.
you guys.
Now I know no because someone told the Minneapolis police, don't go there. Give them 45 minutes to terrorize, harass, and do whatever they want in that church. Because could you imagine just a few months ago, they literally had a shooting at the now what's the name of it? I can never remember the names of these places.
That's true.
That church, they just had a shooting a couple months ago at that church. So you would think that cops will be on high alert when there's another disturbance at a church. Someone told them to stand down. They had to have.
Hold
I'm
on
guessing
1 second.
that's me. That's me assuming, but there's no other reason why you wouldn't get someone to show up there.
One second. Joanne, if you're listening, go to datarepublican.com, I think it is. And you can search for all of the 990s and everything for all of the nonprofits. You can even search board member names. You can even put multiple names and cross-reference to see where they overlap. You can do all that on her website.
That's right. Here you go. No, the Catholic Church School. Here you go. All right. We need to switch gears.
Annunciation.
Actually, this is kind of the
Enunciation.
same
That was
gear.
it. It was enunciation. That's it.
Now, I need you to pull up the video of the oversight hearing. And I want to set this up first. All right. So in every state government, there are departments or agencies that are responsible for oversight of how other agencies operate, to make sure that they are following the law, to make sure that they have appropriate controls in place, to make sure that the taxpayers of that state are not being defrauded. That's their job. They have entire agencies that are set up to do that. They also have agencies that are set up to go out into the marketplace and do the same thing to businesses and corporations and everybody. So if you've ever worked for a corporation that has any type of size and scale, you have probably been visited by an external auditor from a state who comes in and basically gives you an anal exam at least once a year, maybe twice a year, to make sure that you have appropriate controls in place so that you're not corrupt and you're not defrauding people. So this is a clip from a Minnesota House Oversight Committee of questioning the head of the agency who's responsible for oversight over other agencies. And I want you to hear and watch what happens when she's pressed on why her agency doesn't seem to care about actual oversight. Go.
Agencies to do their job, but not holding them accountable. Am I understanding that?
Madam Chair, we do not have a tool to hold agencies accountable.
So what would that tool be? What do you need? Because under statute, that is your responsibility for internal controls. So if you don't have the tools and it's yet your statutory responsibility, like what do you need?
I want to be clear that when you look at the state statute, subdivision 8 of 16A.057.
Pause, don't change, leave it here. I want you to listen closely. This woman, who is the commissioner of the Minnesota Management and Budget, whatever the hell that is getting ready to read to you from the state statute that determines what her responsibility is. And then I want you to watch her face after she reads it. Go.
And specifically states that the head of each executive agency is responsible for designing, implementing, and maintaining an effective internal control system within the agency that complies with the requirements of the subdivisions.
That was
She
an
just
oh
said-
shit face.
Yeah, I was just going to say, she just said, oh shit. I just said it out loud.
She just read the statute that mandates that her agency is responsible for creating and implementing and managing controls. And she doesn't realize it. She just read it out loud. And her face was like, holy crap.
Shit.
All right.
That was
Put it
great.
back and let's finish.
Okay, sorry. And
I mean, I know you're asking the question of what do we need to hold agencies accountable? I would view that differently, and that would be to say, what do we need for agencies to be successful?
Okay, I would just like to point out that in statute 16A 057, it says the commissioner, meaning of MMB, is responsible for the system of internal controls across the executive branch. Sub 1, safeguard public funds and assess and assets and minimize incidents of fraud, waste, and abuse. That is the responsibility of the commissioner of MMB.
And Chair Robbins, the way that we do that is by creating a framework for agencies to use and providing support and resources and tools for them to use
This is
in order
DEI.
to identify and implement their own internal controls.
this is government.
When they
Hold
fail
on.
at
This is
that,
DEI.
what do you do?
Hold on. Rewind it. We need to hear this part. Hold on. Let's rewind it just a little bit. Such important commentary from SK and Nom, but you guys have to hear this. You have to hear this.
And implement their own internal controls.
And when they fail at that, what do you do?
Go ahead.
Chair Robbins,
Anybody?
what we do is step in with support. So
Nothing, absolutely nothing. She's saying what we do is absolutely nothing. We let the fraud continue and we just do the DEI thing. And we're like, well, you know, equity.
SK, it is so much worse than that. Folks, I want you to understand something. If you work in the corporate world, you know that these people, these regulators, literally have the power to shut your entire business down unless you have almost perfect controls in place to stop fraud and abuse from happening. And yet, what Governor Walz, Twinkle Toes, Sparkle Fingers, has created in the state of Minnesota is a legislative apparatus staffed by retards, specifically so that they don't catch fraud. The woman
This is
in
not
charge.
Minnesota.
Hey now.
This
hey now,
is
hey now.
this is government employees en masse,
Oh,
writ large.
You
it
guys,
is, but this lady was put there on purpose because she's a freaking idiot. That's why she was placed in that role. She was put
I would
there.
say autopoiesis, but I don't think it fits here, but I think it does.
She was
Is that
put
how you say
there
it?
so they could get away with the fraud.
Yep. Yep.
She didn't even know what the statute that creates her entire mandate of her agency says. Your job is to make sure that there are appropriate controls in place so that your taxpayers are not defrauded. And what do you do when they're defrauded? Nothing. Because they don't have the tools to do anything about it.
This
If
is
I owned a business and I sat in front of a regulator and I said that, they would shut me down tomorrow.
we should just force the government to have the same types of compliance and exams as banks.
Folks,
Well,
we have almost 350
listen.
people watching this live right now. How cool
Awesome.
is that?
Listen, I've got a good buddy of mine, and he knows who he is when I say this. If he's watching, I don't know if he is, but he says the only way you're going to fix this is just stop paying taxes. Everybody, stop paying taxes for this garbage. That's not me saying it. That's my buddy. He knows who he is. Hope they had a good night of bowling tonight, the bowling league. Just stop paying taxes.
I
That's
mean,
the only
at the
way you're going
very
to solve
least-
this.
At the very least, just make sure you file extensions. You have till October.
Yeah. Anyway,
All right.
because this is a government that is. I don't want to say it's intentionally. I don't know if it's the caliber of people that gravitate to government work because they can't really make it in the private sector. I don't know what the answer is, but I spent a decent amount of time around government employees as a contractor. Absolutely freaking worthless, almost to a T, in my experience.
I mean, we've all been to the DMV, right?
Yeah,
But
But
problem
that's
is
what you
that
get,
woman
right?
probably makes $250,000 a year,
Yeah, I bet she does.
and she's a moron.
Mhm.
But my contention is that she was placed in the role knowing that she's a moron and that she had no ability. Even if she did understand the statute, she probably has no understanding of how to even create an appropriate control to make sure that people are not being defrauded because she's a moron. But this is not an accident.
No, it's not. And this is where I think you're going to segue into the next part of this, what's going on in Virginia, because folks, the lack of controls or
Can I just say real quick
ambiguity
how
or
smooth this show has been flowing, despite me interrupting it to say that. But man, what
And
a
despite
segue!
not having an outline,
What a segue! Keep going.
and see,
A
this
big
is how
segue.
it works when you don't have an outline
That's
and you
right.
OCD plan, Patriot Dad.
I know. Stop it. All right, hold on. We got it. We got a super chat. We got to bring it up. SK, can you help me look into Resist plus Persist Ohio? They popped up in Miami County, Ohio, and would love to discredit them.
Yeah, they're not just in Ohio. They've been involved for a long time.
She already knows who they are.
You need to get in the Discord. You'll probably
Well,
find
SK
it.
needs to get in the Discord.
I
Discord
do.
needs
I
to
need
get
to
into
figure
this.
out how to get back in.
Probably
All right,
do
we
a
were trying
forgot
to
password.
segue
We were
into
segueing and it
showing
got
you
ruined.
something.
But we can't segue unless we set up the fact that, guys, understand. We watched Ilhan Omar do it when she co-sponsored amendments. We're watching it in Minneapolis. When you go to California and you start looking at all the $36 or $38 billion that went to homeless since Gavin Newsom was the mayor of San Francisco until now, and you got 24% more homeless than you had before they invested $36 billion. And then you go and look at what they're doing in Virginia. The only thing you can take away from this is that these programs are intentionally created to allow for fraud. It's built into the calculus, it's built into the language, it's built into created loopholes, and what is also built into the infrastructure is the types of people that they will put in position so that they don't see it, and then the other types of people who will profit from the fraud. That there's no other way to read this.
Our man Paul Prater says that this show is doing what it was created to do, and he's staying up late for it.
Well, I'll tell you why, because you know who created it, right? I wouldn't be here if I wasn't being forced to be by my creator.
That's right. That's right. All right. So what we want to show you guys is not only how they are intentionally designing these systems to make it not just possible, but to create fraud and opportunity for fraud. But you're getting ready to see what it's going to look like nationwide if the Democrats are successful and they take back the House, the Senate, and they win in 2028. What we're seeing happen in the state of Virginia is the perfect example of what happens when Democrats take power versus what Republicans do when they take power. Republicans are pansies. Democrats, they don't care. They are willing to literally burn every piece of our country to the ground to implement the craziest ideas that you could possibly imagine because they're trying to destroy the country. So this is a post that was put out. I think a couple people have done versions of this. We're going to run through this. Can you see that screen? Because I don't.
No, we're going to blow it up. We'll blow it up, and you run through it. I'll blow it up.
All right, hold on.
I'm
I'm gonna need to pull up I know we're not using the outline, but I actually have this linked in there, and I want to pull it up so I can see it large on my other screen here. By the way, folks, you guys should see my setup because I have a 43-inch flat screen sitting right in front of me because as I get a little bit older, my eyesight is starting to change. So I can't really read things that are that close or that are close anymore, which is
me either.
Odd to me
It sucks.
because I've never had that problem.
Mrs. Nom's been in readers for about 2 years. I've been fighting the fight, but I went to the eye doctor last week or last week, and I'm losing the fight.
All right. So here's a list. Now I will say this. I have not vetted every single one of these, and I probably won't. So it's possible that something in here is not actually going to be implemented.
They put it up on Sean Hannity, I think.
Yeah.
I think the same post. So I mean, it must be semi-legit.
Oh crap. Hold on. I just closed out of that. Let me bring it back. All right. So this is what Virginia Democrats have introduced so far. And this is what you can expect to see if Democrats take back control of Congress and the White House. So far, since the woman who sat in a chair with a plastic bag over her head because she was afraid of COVID, promised to be a moderate, but is in fact a CIA agent. Her first couple days of total control of both legislatures, or both houses in the Virginia legislature and the governor's mansion, have started the process of banning future attempts to clean up voter rolls, making it illegal for state agencies distributing federal dollars to NGOs to investigate whether they are engaged in fraud. Do we?
I mean, that's literally what we just talked about. Hold on, I want to come back. They're just coming out and telling you that you will not legally be allowed to investigate fraud when these Democrats are done in the state of Virginia. You just won't even be allowed to do it. It's just going to happen. You're going to have to suck it the fuck up. No one's going to care when you cry about it. No one's going to care when the money goes. You see Somalis driving around and Bentleys and Benzes and living in mansions when they don't work. No one's going to care.
Except it's Virginia, which is not Somali daycares. It's government contractors. It's Department of Defense contractors.
There's a lot of illegal immigrants in
sure.
Scamburger. We told you guys Scamburger was going to ruin Virginia.
All right, let's keep going. Now, I'm going to have to zip through this list because it is long.
We don't need to do the whole list, but
no, I think we do.
The good stuff.
We'll do it fast.
Okay.
All right. They are trying to make it illegal to hand count ballots. Illegal. Allowing mail-in ballots to be counted 1 week after Election Day. Allows for absentee ballots to be received and counted for 3 days after Election Day. Gerrymanders the state with either a 10-1 or 9-2 Democrat congressional map. Creates a state-level equivalent of the VRA. I don't know what that is. Maybe somebody does. Eliminates the requirement that large last-minute campaign contributions have to be publicly reported at least 24 hours before Election Day. They are opening the door for financial fraud in elections.
Stop it. Did that literally, hold on. Eliminates the requirement that large last minute campaign contributions have to be publicly reported the last 20. Are you freaking kidding me?
No, right there. It says it right there. Yep. Removes the State Board of Elections' ability to dispatch law enforcement officers to collect vote tallies from localities that refuses to publish them. So they are going to remove the State Board of Elections' ability to actually use law enforcement to collect votes. Join the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact.
Hold on. Stop. I want to go back to that one. So basically what that means is, let's say you've got a county who doesn't, someone there at the county clerk's office or whoever's counting that stuff says, we don't want to return our votes in because we don't like the way they went. Then the State Board of Elections has no recourse to send state police to go and get those ballots, which they would now.
Or we decided that there's a whole tranche of ballots sitting over there in the corner that we want to insert into this process.
Do you remember when I told you guys that Scamburger was CIA, but her husband is a defense contractor? Weird.
Yeah. You mean a defense contractor that now is going to be protected from any type of investigations determining whether or not state agencies are distributing federal dollars to his NGOs or to those organizations can be investigated for fraud? That's weird. That's not a conflict of interest at all. All right. So they have moved to join the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact for allocating Virginia's electoral college votes, automatic restoration of voting rights for felons after they've been released from prison, and the mentally handicapped. So people who are not mentally cognitive enough to make a sound decision, they want to allow them to vote.
So Democrats.
Basically, they want to make it possible for every Democrat on the planet to vote. Well, that makes sense. Allows for votes to be cast electronically through the internet. Holy crap. Public funding of political campaigns at the local level. Abolishes all mandatory minimum sentencing for rape. Did I say rape? For rape, manslaughter, assaulting a law enforcement officer, possession and distribution of child pornography, and all repeat violent felonies. I might lose my mind. We have been suffering through a fake Epstein propaganda campaign in this country at the hands of Democrats for a year now, claiming that Donald Trump and his entire administration are protecting P3DOs. One idiot yesterday on CNN actually made the slanderous, defamatory statement that Donald Trump is engaged in a child sex trafficking ring around the world. And you actually have Democrat politicians who are proposing laws to protect people who are raping and manslaughtering and assaulting law enforcement officers and are in possession and distribution of child pornography.
Dude, I don't think we can get through this. My head's going to explode.
This is the color revolution. This is exactly their plan.
I mean,
all right, I'm not done. I have to keep going because I think people need to be sufficiently terrified of Democrats and what they're planning to do. We might have to do an entire show on this.
PatriotDad, you don't know what type of racism these people faced in their lives to make
I don't
them do
care.
these horrific things.
SK,
It's called
I don't-
equity,
SK,
PatriotDad.
I
Do you
don't
not
care.
have a heart?
They can take their perceived racism and shove it right up where the sun doesn't shine because your racism is not justification for raping somebody.
Oh, but they say that equity, it's all about equity. Everything has to be equitable, you guys. You don't know what they went through. We don't all
do I have to bring
start
this
at
up
the
again?
same
I
point
can't
in
handle
life.
any more of this. Folks, you need to go read this. This is the most insane. This is literally the most insane thing I've ever heard.
What are you doing?
What?
What are you doing?
Do I have to put this back up?
Yeah, you have to put it back up.
Oh, fuck.
We got to get through it. I'll go through it fast. Makes it harder for judges to deny bail, even in the case of things like aggravated assault, armed robbery, or drug trafficking. Gives convicted murderers, rapists, and terrorists a chance to get out of prison early. Drastically reduces the criminal penalty for robbery. Bars prosecution from mentioning a criminal's prior convictions during the guilty phase or the guilt phase of a trial. Even if it's for the same crime, you're not allowed to find out if somebody is a repeat offender. Transfers the Department of Juvenile Justice from the Secretary of Public Safety's purview to the Secretary of Health and Human Services, reduces the amount of time that the Commonwealth can compel a convicted criminal to pay court fees from 60 years to 10. Taxpayer funding for transgender surgeries, bans most discretionary state contracting under $100,000 from going to businesses owned by white men, and allows state agencies to award contracts to women or minority-owned firms that are 5% more expensive than a bid from a business owned by a white man.
Yeah, Harmeet Dillon says that is not allowed per
the
the
least of
Civil
their
Rights
problems.
Act.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I mean,
just straight up legal racism.
If you stop that one, I mean, what the hell does it matter? The rest of it is screwed anyway.
Punishes VMI for adopting an anti-DEI stance. So they're going to punish people who do not adopt their perverted ideology. They're going to punish them.
Here
Punish
it is. I told
them.
you. Equity for all.
Abolishes all Confederate-themed license plates, eliminates the tax-exempt status for all Confederate history groups, renames Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day, makes it illegal to approach within 8 feet of somebody within 40 feet of an abortion clinic. Notice that it doesn't say a damn thing about
Not
raiding
church.
churches.
Right.
Enshrines a leftist narrative about January 6th and teaches it in public schools. This right here is government propaganda. Legalized propaganda. Allows
This is the
localities.
CCP.
Yeah.
it's
Allows
not only legalized, it's mandatory propaganda.
mandatory
This is CCP
propaganda.
shit. Can we keep going? This I can't. My brain is going to explode. This is
you-
horrific.
You have to sit through this. You have
No.
to. Allows localities to adopt rent control measures because that's the dumbest way to control rent prices. These people
Yeah,
are
but they're
freaking
dumb.
idiots.
So what do you expect?
Increases the sales tax in Northern Virginia, adds an additional sales tax
Here's your
for home
affordability.
deliveries,
Here's your
raises the
affordability,
car
folks.
tax for electric vehicles, and imposes new sales tax for streaming services, concerts, gym memberships, nail salons, barbershops, tanning beds, tattoo parlors, dry cleaners, shoe repair, carpentry, painting, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, landscaping, and housekeeping work for homes, swimming pools, maintenance, travel agencies, and shipping services. This woman ran on a platform saying that she was going to address the affordability gap in Virginia. And her first official act is to implement taxes everywhere.
That's what they do, except for the people that they want to give free money to through fraud.
But SK, it's not just Virginia residents, because they care so much about the affordability crisis that she's also going to be creating a new tourism tax on event entrance fees, raising the hotel tax, imposing a new 7.75% tax on incomes over $1 million, creates 2 new tax brackets, one over 600,000 at 8% and another over 1 million at 10%, imposes a 3.8% investment tax on top of state income taxes, allows every locality to raise the state sales tax by 1%, raises the sales tax for Stafford County, rounds up all state and local taxes by the nearest 5-cent increments.
Stop. Because this is where from the imposes a new 7.75% tax on income over 1 million, creates new tax, all of that stuff, the deep dark blue Northern Virginia, the Democrats that live there, that shit will never happen. I guarantee you that shit will never happen. Because that's, you understand that the zip codes surrounding Washington D.C. and the southern part of D.C. and Northern Virginia, all Democrats,
They'll
of them,
get it all back.
they are the richest.
They'll get it all back through their NGOs that they can't investigate
They're not
for
going to pay.
fraud.
They're not going to. That's never going to happen.
They're going to get it all
that
back
will never
through
happen.
their NGOs.
You guys
Everything else will
actually
happen. That'll never happen.
You actually think that they intend for that to happen? No.
No.
Understand that the tax on the rich is really just the lipstick on the pig. They talk about taxing millionaires and billionaires. That will never actually be implemented. Even if it is, they will create ways for them to avoid those taxes.
Right.
What will be implemented is the tax on home deliveries, car tax, imposing new sales taxes for streaming services, which everybody pays, concerts, gym memberships, nail salons, barbershops, tanning beds, tattoo parlors, dry cleaners, shoe repair, carpentry, painting, all the stuff that low and middle income households have to try to figure out how to budget, that will be taxed.
But you know what? They're going to outlaw gas-powered leaf blowers. So you better charge up your leaf blower, folks.
This is insane. This list just keeps going. I don't think we're going to be able to get through this whole thing.
Personal property
I
tax
freaking
on
told
lawn
you. I
equipment?
can't. Listen, I'm drawn. I'm
All
taking
right,
it off the screen. I'm taking it off
Holy
the screen.
shit.
I'm done. I'm done.
Folks,
I can't.
I hope
It's
you
done.
understand something. I'm starting to get a headache. I hope you guys understand something, that this is the agenda that they fully expect to implement when Democrats take control of the House and the Senate and the White House.
This will be federal. They will do this at the federal level.
They will do
Abundance.
all
Elon
of
Musk
it.
even posted about it. They're not joking.
All of it. And they will blow up the filibuster. They will stack the Supreme Court. They will do everything in their power to make sure this happens. And you want to know why they're going to do this? It's not because they believe any of this stuff. They are going to do this because they know it will destroy the country. They know it. That's the plan. This is the weapon that is used to destroy a constitutional republic. And then they can turn around and they can usher in, well, you don't like this. Well, let's just implement socialism.
And then we'll be Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're
Doxy Mommy, I put the link down there. I put it in the chat for you for this person's page.
I don't understand. There should not be a single America First MAGA voter who is not losing their minds over what they're seeing happen in Virginia. If I hear one more person say, well, we told you so, and now you got to live it. No. People, folks, pay attention. What they're doing in Virginia is showing you right in front of your face exactly how they plan to behave when they take over the House and the Senate and the White House. They're telling you. It's their playbook.
That's why every single registered Republican voter has to get out and vote in the primaries. You have to vote for the best primary candidate. You have to get the rhinos out of office so we can get things done. And when it comes time for the general election, every single person has to go vote for the Republican candidate. We cannot have this going through. Every Democrat wants this. some Republicans won it. At least if you're voting for the Republican on the ticket, you got like a 60-40 chance or a 70-30 chance of getting somebody that doesn't want this shit.
I think we're at a stopping point because we could keep
Well,
going.
hold on. We could. We got the patriotic critical thinker. You skip the assault weapons ban. Listen, at this point, the assault weapons ban doesn't matter. I mean, frankly, it doesn't matter in the state of Virginia. Who cares? I mean, if they get even a tenth of that done,
what is an assault weapon? How are you going to define that? How are you going to define assault weapon?
It's black.
They're going to define it as anything that's
plastic on
scary looking
places.
and black and you.
But I do want to put this up there because this is facts. This is facts.
All right,
Well played.
hold on. Shameless plug. Guys, come back every Monday night and Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. And we are doing Fridays now too at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. But for sure, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Be here.
All right. I got one last request.
Well, we've got one more super chat.
Okay, cool. Let's play that. Red wave or we're dead. Amen.
No.
And it's not
vote red or we're dead.
Oh, I thought
There
I
you
said that. Red,
go.
red.
You just started it, Nom.
I did start it. The fourth strike started it.
Look,
vote
this
red
is
or
not
we're dead.
This is not an academic exercise. Like, not only are they telling us from a policy perspective what they're going to do, but they are also standing in front of microphones telling anybody who's engaging in enforcing the Trump agenda is going to go to jail. Like they are talking about arresting people, prosecuting people simply for enforcing the current law.
Yep.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
So spare me your frustration, Madam Attorney General, with us being frustrated with you. When you come out in front of a camera and you say stupid things like this,
Whether it's a law enforcement officer, no one is above the law in this state or in this country. And people will be held accountable. This state is a mess right now. We've seen the chaos and it's constant. And our men and women in law enforcement deserve to be safe. And that's what we're going to do in Minnesota.
I wanted to show you that again, just so you understand why we're so frustrated with you, Attorney General Pam Bondi. Because this is life and death for many of us out here in the country, for our families, for our states, for our cities, for our country. And the best that you can do is go in front of a camera and say that nobody's above the law.
Sure seems like a lot of freaking people are above the law right now. A lot of them. Do you want us to name? We can put the list together. The list of people that are above the law right now under your Department of Justice is longer than that list of bullshit we just read from the state of Virginia.
Literally everybody.
No, it's not everybody. Republicans aren't. It's still Democrats. Democrats are still above the law. They were above the law before President Trump won in 2024, and they're still above the law after he won in 2024. You got to make that make sense. I'm getting pissed.
It's because the corruption runs so deep. It's in every branch of government. It's literally everywhere. And they've gotten away with it for so long. They will do it right in front of your face because they know there's no consequences.
Just say we can't fix it. It is so bad we can't fix it.
We can't
the only
fix
other
it.
solution. Then what's the other solution? What's
The
the
solution is you find people to primary your sitting member of Congress, whether House, whether Senate. You find somebody. If you can't find somebody, guess what? You're up. It's your turn to run for office. You run for office and you primary every single one of these fuckers straight out of their seat, and you put people that care about this country and don't want to be Venezuela in office.
Listen, we're not going to do this all night. SK, you're right. You're 100% right. But here's the thing. I've seen it. We're going to keep doing it, talking to candidates if they want to talk to us, if they want to talk to our audience. I think the last two have been pretty good, especially one tonight. There's others that we have seen. Doxy Mommy's got two in the state of Alabama. Hey, Doxy Mommy, if you have a way to get a hold of them, and we're not going to go chase these folks down. I don't think we are. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong. If you want to send them to us, or they got someone in their campaign that wants to get a hold of us, I mean, if you send us an @ for a page, we can try to reach out to them, but we're not going to go chase them down. If they want that position and they want to talk to our audience for free, doesn't cost them a dime to do it. It's a free campaign. I mean, it's something they can clip and stitch, and they can do all kinds of campaign ads with it for free instead of sending out emails and text messages that nobody fucking reads, like, ever. Why would you do that? We're going to talk about that with what's his name. No one reads those things.
We got almost 400 people in this live. This is the biggest concurrent audience that I think we've ever had. And I think there's a reason for it.
I was getting ready to ask earlier how many we usually have because I have no clue.
Yeah, I mean, the views over a few days are great, but concurrent views, I think this is the largest. And it's probably because I think people are feeling the frustration that I think we accurately expressed throughout this show. You're right.
Mega Jake, send them to us. Get them a hold of us. Can't speak. I've talked too much.
We'll talk to anyone willing to primary any of these Republicans. We'll talk to any Republican running for office, period.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to running for HOA boards. I don't want to talk to those people.
No.
Because if you're running to lead your HOA board, you're probably a communist anyway.
We're not doing state level offices unless it's like a super important seat.
The only role that anyone should be playing on the board of an HOA is doing everything they can to shut it down.
Yep, I agree.
That's it.
Agree with that. To get as many amendments and bylaws as you can removed.
That's right. Like I used to get fined when I lived in a neighborhood because I didn't take my trash can up in time. And I got fined because I didn't have a way to hide my trash cans on the side of my house. So I had to build a small fence on the side of my house so that my trash cans weren't visible from the road.
That's communism.
Listen, I'm going to say this. Everybody hates an HOA until your neighbor has 2.5 foot long grass and you're putting your house on the market, or they've got cars up on blocks in their front yard. Everybody hates an HOA until that happens. Okay.
That's true. I mean, there is a purpose, but then you get some blue-haired leftist idiot out there.
Agreed.
Who ruins it and turns it into a communist crap hole.
Karen. It's a Karen.
You should have seen what Mrs. Nom did to the house across the street that had been newly moved into by Chinese immigrants because our neighborhood is completely changing, and they hadn't bought a cutting machine.
Your new neighborhood
yet.
Or your old neighborhood?
The old neighborhood.
Okay.
They hadn't bought a cutting machine according to them yet.
A lawnmower?
A lawnmower, right? And the grass was literally 2.5 feet tall the day before our house went on the market, and her head spun off her shoulders, flew up in the air, spun around. She went completely poltergeist on this guy, and he went and bought a cutting machine that night.
So I'm going to tell you, I know Mrs. Nom personally, and she is an incredible woman.
No, you know your sister-in-law.
She is one of the funniest people you will ever meet.
Hilarious.
You do not want to piss that woman off. You do not want to make her mad. I promise you, it will not go well for you.
No,
it won't.
She's freaking hilarious, though.
She's a riot. She's a riot. All right, folks. I hope this was good. I hope you got something out of it. By far the longest show we've ever done. Friday, after dark, 9:30. We may try to invite some guests to see if we can have some more fun. But I don't know how to beat the one we just did tonight because this was a pretty awesome show, folks.
See what happens when you don't OCD plan, Patriot Dad?
Well,
some of it we have to. Yeah, some of it we have to. If it's complex stuff, we're going to have to. But this was good. I like the way this worked. Let's go. Let's wrap it up. Let's get out of here. All right.
We're out, folks.
I got to hit the potty and I got to go to bed.
Hit all the buttons, subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. We'll see you Friday, 9:30. Thanks for being here.
Hold on. We got to rewind.
Bye, guys.
Got to rewind it.
The bullets and the punches and the riots have been flowing in only one direction for too long.
I've been trying to tell you guys this whole time how corrupt all of these things were, and here we are.
It is not our responsibility to fix something they spent years intentionally trying to destroy. Unity can only happen in a country when you have a people who agree on what the outcome should be.